Is there, new scale, new alliances, new partnerships to develop with this new consumer habits going offline, online, buying online? What is the new role of the shopping center with these new trends, basically?
But I think I think there are studies currently that if people who buy on the internet or who actually surf the internet, I think most people do that. They check the product they would like to buy. Then they do not check what the manufacturer has to say because they believe it's a lie anyways. So they go to all those reviews that other people who might be using the product or who bought it already, they check what these people have to say. Then they might go to the store, then check out the good itself, touch it, want to feel it. And now comes the question, what happens then? Right? Either they stand in line and buy it, or maybe in the future there's a big screen where they can just online punch it in, buy it online, get it sent home if it's a bigger good. So I think that will be a very interesting question. I believe that it's going to go both ways, and I think the strength of the online community is to make it so attractive to sounding that you go to the store, right, for special promotions, for special events, for performances, for all kinds of things. And I think that this actually will be a huge opportunity to bring even more people into the shopping center than they are currently, because you have a gigantic, right, the web forum to advertise what you will have in the store. And if you then offer the right products and services in that wonderful environment you're going to create where people then going to stay long, I think it might be even more successful than it is today.
I think you have to do your job the best you can, and after that the consumer chooses. So if the people find a very nice experience by going to the shopping malls, they will still go on the shopping malls. And if the retailers and if the people like us don't do our job as we should do for the consumers, we will lose our clients, that's all.
The contractual relationship between parties is changing as a result of also the different buying behavior of the consumer. I mean, the sale is not necessarily made in the store. Manufacturers of retail products, they will use stores as showrooms, and may still use retailers in order to have the benefit of their expertise in dealing with consumers. But how are they going to afford to pay a fixed rent for a 10-year term? So you really, there's going to be major changes in how the economics, the economic relationship, the contractual relationship between the different partners involved in retail real estate will work together. But you do have the need to prove that you can also manage those relationships and prove that your center works or your project, and be a financial participant in that. The time is over. Long-term contracts which you sell to institutional investors. And we have, I think in the next 2 years you will see complete change in supply lines, in contractual relationship between the partners. And I think we shouldn't view that as a threat, but as a true opportunity to get the focus on ultimately the result is consumer satisfaction. I believe that's a mistake to redevelop what's not right, which is not at the right location, which is poorly conceived. And I'm regularly arguing also with the governmental authorities, also in France, by the way, you better tear some of the shit we built down and start again, because you don't kid, the consumer. And we, and I totally agree with my neighbors, that we have a responsibility to create the quality that's also sustainable, not just in terms of CO2 reduction, but is built at the right locations where there's multimodal transportation, where we create a kind of experience, architecture, public spaces, and also flexibility in our buildings that will make it function for the next 100 years. Sometimes I say my company, and they think I'm an idealist, but we have to create the monuments of the future. And if you start building a building to tear it down after 10 years, you have the wrong intention.
So what are the new challenges in terms of new financial partners, the economic model behind it?
In mixed-use development, if you're truly sincere about creating urban environments or even suburban environments that function, you have to not think monofunctional. That's a little bit, I mean, we talk about shopping malls here, and in some markets you have to differentiate. In Asia, some markets in Central Europe, you still can create kind of the malls as we know them. But the traditional mall in the more mature markets in Western Europe doesn't have a great deal of a future, I think. And retail for us is an anchor, but in a mixed use there are components like the museums you mean that you will lose money on. I mean, even though there's public funding, you can't make everything profitable. And so you have to invest to make money. The costs start before you can create revenues. And in mixed use, you can't make every single component profitable. The same counts for residential. Some of these residential units, which we do in many of our projects, over retail, especially in the mid-sized towns. And often, you can't pay the bills from the sales prices of apartments over retail because it's just very inefficient to have these large service areas underneath the apartment structure. I mean, but they create a kind of quality that makes cities work. And so we try to look at the integral picture and obviously make as much money as we can by doing the right thing.
I think it's very much a question of scale also. I don't think you're going to have 2 large concert halls in a 20,000 square meter development because you're going to be at a great loss. Often it's a combination of a public-private partnership of some sort, that the city also participates in some level, but the cities usually want somewhat of a gift if they allow you to build such vast developments. But I think the developer realizes first he can't build it without it, otherwise the city is not going to allow it for him. And then what you said, Isaac, the footfall is just very important. Well, if you have every night 2 performances with 2,000 people each, that's 4,000 people that for sure usually going to spend, if it's beautiful enough and the environment is enticing, they're usually going to spend time before the show and going to eat something, going to buy a little gift or something, going to spend time in the bars after the show if you provide the environment to do so. So at the end of the day, that's a little bit like a cinema. Cinemas are very often also losing operations, but you just want those 5,000, 7,000 people in the space every single day, 5 times a day, on the weekend even more, and that's just an incredible opportunity for a developer.
But in the cities, we try to give our best, but the cities try to ask the maximum. And sometimes we cannot pay for that. And especially now, we cannot pay for that because when we make the project, when we make the competition, we can give everything the cities want. But when we have to go in front of our bankers to ask the money to make the buildings, they ask for rentability. So, and if you don't have it, you cannot make the project. So we discuss with the cities about the maximum we can give to them. And usually in France, the French government said, okay, we're going to build some stadiums and we're going to pay the stadiums for the retail. It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And sometimes you have already the retail in front of the stadium they want to build. So we have to do the balance between what the developer can bring to the community and to the cities in terms of infrastructure, in terms of cultural, in terms of sport, of everything for the city, and the money can get just to be able to make the project.